here with David Perkins, accompanied by Aswad, on the festival on Blackheath. There's David. We're looking for green-eyed flower bees nesting on Cade Road on Blackheath. What's important here is because David and I live on Blackheath, but David has also published this great book.
25 years ago it started when I was converted to many things by having to learn about them myself, because I got a job in central London in a charity called Roots and Shoots, and I had to deliver environmental education to children and families and adults. So I actually was forced to train myself as, if you like, in entomology, because I had to communicate it. Really needed to know what the insects were that were in the holes or on the flowers. I needed to tell stories about them. I needed to tell life histories. So I spent 10 years doing that, observing, experimenting with, trying to get more species into the garden there, but finding ways of getting those stories over to children and parents.
So you just mentioned about experimenting, and when I did meet you, you were playing around with bits of 4x2, weren't you?
I was playing around with bits of all kinds of sizes of wood. Not just 4x2, but anything I could find.
To see what would nest in them?
Yep, drill lots of holes, different sizes, different depths, and see what I could find.
So we're now at the old heather garden, aren't we, David?
That's right.
And you used to like the heather because
I used to like the heather because early in the year you would see it would feed the bumblebees.
But now they've turned it into this native wild flower meadow.
At this time of the year now, there's a lot more forage than there would have been when it was a heather garden.
Well, I like
So
the Ekin vulgare.
But yeah, Ekin's fantastic.
It's just a green roof plant.
There's something that is not particularly native.
Well, that one actually has ivy mining bee feeding on it before the ivy comes out. Actually.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Beautiful, it's such a beautiful plant.
But you get some interesting bees on there, don't you?
It's fantastic for short-tongue bees, wide and butterflies and insects and wasps.
Right. Or you were a real gardener, but you were a gardener. Yeah. Okay.
I suppose I was a professional gardener.
Right.
But I'm not a gardener like my granddad was a gardener.
Right. Okay.
My granddad was a Victorian gardener.
English gardener.
A Victorian English gardener.
Yeah.
And he had immaculate lawns, and he had perfect ways of doing it. He died quite early, because of the chemicals.
Well, see, bloody chemicals, these lawn people. Yeah.
In his time, the accepted mode was a lot of chemical. In late Victorian Edwardian gardening, a lot of chemicals were used.
I like that because my friend Peter Massini always says the boundaries, we need to blur the boundaries. So what's happening now is there's a blurring between gardening and blurring. So like what John Little does and Fergus does down there.
And Great Dixter has got a lot of, if you like, in intervention gardening, if you like. It's got espalier trained fruit trees, it's got beautiful borders, it's got mixed herbaceous borders that are really quite sort of English looking. They're blurring their boundaries. Fergus has been blurring those boundaries down there a lot. So I thought it would be quite nice to do something architectural. If we've been doing something architectural, let's make it a significant piece of architecture. I decided to make a scale model of the Trellick Tower out of little blocks of wood, drill the holes of different diameters and different depths, set it up. Trellick Tower. We went up to the Trellick Tower and we set it up there and took a photo of the children.
Yeah, I remember.
So children sort of cut the ribbons on it. It was a proper architectural thing.
Yeah.
Then we put it into the wild garden at Roots and Shoots.
You didn't choose Buckingham Palace, you chose Trellick Tower.
Trellick Tower.
A bit of social housing in London, eh?
That's right. It had to be a block of flats.
So you know we met by the telephone box by the tee-up?
Yes.
I want to fill that with sand and make that into a Hymenopteropolis.
That's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
You replace the little windows with mesh. Get John Little onto that.
John Little's coming. He doesn't leave Essex much, but he's coming.
You see that? There's a solitary tree there, look, isn't it? You see it right there.
Oh,
far over.
Right on that one there.
A bit of a long way.
Probably a bit out of focus.
Now that looks like a Hylias. And I wanted to do a bee family course. So I wanted a physical resource that would be for a family learning course on bees.
Because at that time, there wasn't a lot of literature, was there?
There were no books on solitary bees. You could get bees of Surrey. Solitary bees were an unknown quantity. You really had to work hard to learn the stuff.
But you were starting out about 2000 and there wasn't the internet, was there?
I don't know when Stephen Falk started his Flickr site. but it wasn't then.
It wasn't then.
No,
Stephen Falk's flicker site is superb. But you're self-taught then, really?
basically self-taught, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is interesting because now I always celebrate the likes of Steve Falk, Ian Beavis and some of the guys on the BWAR website, because now you can post a picture of a bee or a wasp and somebody identifies it for you. But you couldn't do that back in the early 90s, could you?
No.
Did you pull ragwort out of your garden at Roots and Shoots, or did you let it live? You never did?
No.
Good. So why the hairy-footed flower bee?
The hairy-footed flower bee was one of the first bees that really drew my attention. When I first saw it, I'd only just started at Roots and Shoots, and I knew nothing about bees whatsoever, and I just thought it was a small black bumblebee. That's a bit of a weird bumblebee, The following year I saw it again, I thought, no, it can't be just a black variation of bumblebee. It's got to be something that's interesting. So I did then make an effort to look it up. When I found what it was, I thought I just really liked them. They're just beautiful little things, and they come out every spring. And the males go around and show their bum to you, and then the females come out. And they're just great little animals. And then people started coming in to Roots and Shoots with dead ones and saying, what are these? And I thought, well, those are hairy-footed flower bees. Where did you find that? They said, I found it in my fireplace. So they must be nested up in your chimney, and when they've emerged, they've got confused and fallen down. That happened more than once. I love the hairy-footed flower bee. It's got a very hairy feet, and it's got a very long tongue.
So the hairy-footed flower bees nest in my chimneys. Every spring it's a joy, and often when I'm filming them, all my neighbours come and ask me what they do, and they're now really into hairy-footed flower bees, because they are just such fun.
Yeah, if you watch them when they're trying to get hold of a female, that's fantastic.
Oh, it is fantastic. We won't go there because this is for young viewers as well.
The family learning book wasn't going to get published, so I reoriented it to the adult audience and just kept going for 10 years. And eventually, just after the pandemic, I eventually found a publisher, which I'm obviously eternally grateful.
Nice about that. It's a labour of love, and what I love, because you were one of the people who got me interested in solitary bees, and I know John Little would probably say that, is you self-taught, and eventually you've made this tome, which I have looked at, and it's very good.
A decent size. I mean, that looks like one of the wasps, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably ornate bee fox.
Where she's been scraping her legs back in the spoil.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Osmia canuta, don't you?
I do, yes.
And why is that important? Because...
Well, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's one of these species that has appeared relatively recently in the UK. There's a debate about how it got here, under its own steam or with a little bit of assistance. Stephen Falk reckons that Blackheath residents brought it home in their bee hotels from France? From their holiday homes in France.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I mean, it's perfectly capable, I would think, of crossing the channel.
We're not like you, Stephen. We trust nature, not Blackheath residents, because David and I are Blackheath residents.
When I got the publisher committed, I then added a chapter on climate change, bees and climate change. So I started writing bees and climate change section, and I was writing the paragraph, sitting typing away on the section on the hairy-footed flower bee and whether or not it is expanding. And as I was doing that, I just checked my emails, and there was an email from Fitzpatrick in Ireland saying, David, they've just seen the first hairy-footed flower bee in Dublin. And so I changed the sentence in 2022.
Cool.
Here's to the hairy foot.
So I'm now the proud owner of 2 copies until I give one to John Little. He's already got a copy, but this is really just to celebrate what a great book, and also to celebrate the fact is that David's completely self-taught, and he got me interested in solitary bees and wasps over 15 years ago, and I'm loving it, and he's loving it, and so does John Little love it, and so should you.